Alright, let's take a look at how we can do a blind object or enemy or player, whatever you want to do, using the navigation server still. Alright, so how would we use the navigation server? Well, first of all, I got my scene set up here. You don't have to worry about the majority of the stuff on the side there. For example, these walls, we can just completely delete them. They were just CSG meshes. That word was hard, so I'm just going to delete those. That's fine. I just have a light in my scene, a camera. That way I can see things in world environment. And then I have just a couple CSG meshes here that are just some planes. I could make them boxes, but if this is going to be the floor, there's no reason for us to ever see the bottom, so there's no point to really doing that. Now, to get my movement that set up that I can use, right, for the navigation server, I set all of my ground area as a child of the navigation region 3D node. Alright, so then I come into the inspector here and I select new navigation mesh. And from here, you can come into agent here and you can tweak everything, height, radius, and all that fun stuff. If you really want to set it at a very specific height, you could, but I'm going to show you how we can just completely ignore that if you have your, say, a drone that's already set at the height that you want to use. But maybe you want to set one up anyways, just to make things maybe a little easier on yourself. But with all my floor pieces, a child of my navigation region 3D, and my navigation mesh created here in the inspector, I'm just going to come up top and roughly the center of the screen on a 16:9 monitor. Mine's a little off to the left. And I'm going to click this Bake Nav Mesh button. And that's going to give me my nav mesh. Now you can see it's floating here off of the ground. This is where the height comes in. So again, if I wanted to come in here and say, make it 4, and I would come up to the top and rebake my nav mesh. And just give it a moment. And hopefully that'll just go ahead and update there. But again, you can just come in and make new ones at any point. It looks like this isn't going to change it. Oh, there it goes. It just flew off. Okay, so it's just not as sensitive as I initially thought it was. That's all. And who knows where that went off to. There we go. So we got a nice 20 there. So I don't know, maybe 50 is something closer to what you would want. I don't know, but I'm just going to go with the default 1.5. It's perfectly fine. Again, doesn't matter. And same with the inside. We can see what it's got here. We can play with the radius from 0.5. Maybe we change it to a 1, rebake it, and now it's so small we can't even tell. So 0.5, and maybe we change to 0.7, bake mesh, and we can see it's a lot thinner. If we set the radius to 0 and bake it, it's going to take up the full amount of space on our mesh. So completely up to you. Again, I'm just going to stick to the defaults here, just because it works. I don't really have any reason not to do it for this. And let's go ahead and jump into... Oh, before we jump into the script, my little drone thing here that I'm going to be using is just a mesh instance, and it's just a cube that I cut the Y, so it's height, and I just cut that in half. Now we have this little floating box, I guess. But alright, jumping into the script. Just like we did with our 2D, we're going to have a current path, which is our packed vector 3 array. The navigation map, that's going to be an RID. We're going to await at the very beginning just for a very brief amount of time, just so that our server and everything can get up online before we try and get our navigation map and end up with something empty or just an empty path in general when that's not what we want. Again, nav map is going to be get world 3D this time, and get navigation map. And then I have created two functions on my own called set path and move. For set path, it's very, just like our 2D, we're going to do current path equals navigation server 3D, map get to path, pass in our map, our starting position, our end position, and whether or not you want to optimize the path. And then I'm just printing out my path just so I can see it in the output, just so I can make sure that it's working. And then once I have that, I use a move function. Again, I'm just keeping things separated and cleaned. I'm calling a move function where I'm passing in the current path, which is identified as path, and for p in path, just like in our 2D. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just moving my object. So I'm taking my mesh instance and adjusting its position to a vector 3, and I'm setting it to my p.x and my p.z. And for my y, I'm using my mesh's current y position. If I wanted to use the location of the nav mesh, which is usually what you would want for something walking on the ground, then I would also have p.y here. And of course, if I were to do that, then I could just set it to p since we're using all three values. But if you want your object to remain floating in the air, we're just going to use its current position. And if you have a specific value that maybe you want, maybe you're using 12 for your height for your drone or something, you can go ahead and just hard code a number in there if that's what you wanted. And then I'm just waiting 0.1 of a second here just so we can see it, so it's not like boom, just shoots through. And 0.1 is going to give us a really stuttery, janky animation, but that's up to you how you go ahead and do your object. I could go ahead and just tween from point to point. That would work. You can go into with your move and slide if you're using a character body or something, and you can make it work that way. Point is, I'm just doing it this way just to show you that it works, and we can kind of see this crewed out. And then I'm just clearing out the path once we're complete. So if I go ahead and run this, we can see, there we go. We start here and we make it all the way around to our target location over here. And if we set a location that's too far off that our object cannot get, it will go to the closest location that it can get to and stop. So to show you this going continuously, I just hit the do I still have this in there? I do. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead, and once my object is done moving, I'm just going to call set path again and pass in 3 random values. Now I'm not going to be able to go all the way to the right, or rather all the way to the left of the screen, because it does go into the negative. Same with going out of view in the background, because that also goes into the negative zone. But you can get the idea here. I'm just passing in some random values, and of course calling move with our new path. So if we were to run this, we now have what would be like a random patrolling kind of route. Right, there it goes. And we can see our different paths being printed out down there at the bottom. Alright, so that's how we would do this using a navigation server with 3D, as well as keeping our object following the path, but also keeping it up in the air. Again, this would work great for something like maybe a drone that's patrolling a certain area, going from one location to the next. You could do that, and then it would stay floating up in the air. Alright, if you're interested in the sharp version of this, we can see the equivalent written out here. So we have our full vector 3 here for our current path, and RID for our nav map, and I went ahead and made one for our mesh instance. That way it would just be easier to access the position for the drone, and a lot less we would have to type. In our ready function, I went ahead and assigned my drone to our moving block. Now, since we are using await here, we do have to make this an async method or an async function here in C#. And you can see we're awaiting toSignal, getTree, create timer, 0.1 seconds, and waiting for that timeout signal. That's how we would use it in C#, as opposed to its equivalent of await, getTree, create timer. Very similar. We set the nav map to our getWorld3D and the navigation map property of it. We then call the setPath that we created, setPath function that we created, and pass in our target location, which again, our default we were using was -10 on the X, the drone's Y position already, and 9 on the Z. And we call our move function, passing in our current path. Alright, now if I scroll down, we should be able to see the rest. And again, we're creating an async function here, and that is our move function. And all that is doing now is we have our for each loop to run through each of our vector 3s inside of our path. And we're setting our drone's position. Again, you would tween your object or set its velocity, whatever it is you're doing with each point. And I'm setting this to a new vector 3, X value of the P, right, the current vector 3 that we're using for our path, keeping the Y the same on our drone because we want to keep it floating up in the air, and pass in the Z value of our current vector 3 of the path. Then I'm awaiting 0.1 seconds. Again, this is giving some sort of animation look to it, even though it's really like a stuttery animation or more stop animation, whatever you kind of want to go with there. And then after that, what we had is we wanted to use or pass in some random numbers so we can just keep this loop going forever as an example. So I went ahead and created a new random number generator. It's called RNG. And we set path to a new vector 3. And I just call RNG and call Randy range, passing in 0 through 10. It's exactly the same as what we did in the GDScript section here. And once we pass in that for all 3 values, we then just call move and pass in our current path. And again, our set path function is just our current path equal to our navigation server 3D dot map get path, pass in our map, starting location, end location, and whether or not we want to optimize the path. Now, if I want to go the extra mile, we can just go with -10 here on all of these for all 3 of my positions here. And if we go ahead and run this, we should now see it going in a greater location all the way back there. And, oh, not quite all the way back there, but we can see it going a lot further now. Alright, so there we go. We have the exact same output. The difference is I'm not printing it out to the screen in the C# version, but we can, of course, do that real quick. Not that you need me to do this to prove it to you. We already know it works. We're seeing it. But there we go. Boom. And our path is being printed out. Oh, in this case it is not. We would have to dial that in a little more. But that's fine. But there we go. We have our navigation server working with GDScript and C#, working this with 3D, as well as keeping our vertical height in case we want to do something like a drone patrolling an area. Alright, that'll do it for this one. Take care, have yourselves a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.